Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and you're listening to No BS Hiring Advice Radio. And we're doing it in three places today. We're doing it as a Google Hangout. We're doing it on Blog Talk Radio Live. And I've now added Periscope as a possibility. So I've got a couple of people following me on Periscope. The show will be on Twitter later on. And I do this show because, frankly, hiring people doesn't have to be as hard, difficult, painful, or take so long. It's just most of you have systemic problems that interfere with your ability to be effective. So I do this show weekly, or almost weekly, to talk about different aspects of hiring. And this show today is brought to you by consultingassignments.com, which is a site where you can find and fill consulting assignments, full-time consulting positions, temp to perm, and contract to hire opportunities anywhere in the world completely free. Posting jobs or resumes is free. Searching jobs and resumes is free, as is the ability to contact one another. The only thing the site charges for is if you feature a job or a resume. It is a whopping $10 for 30 days. So again, consultingassignments.com. I'm just going to move my Periscope camera just a little bit, be able to check on the time on my computer. And first of all, thank all of you for watching this and for listening. Now, one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of my clients, well, some of my clients, many are terrific, but some wind up being ill-prepared for hiring. And I thought I would do a show to help you, shall we say, be more effective. Now, all of this boils down to preparation and the things that you do to prepare. So that's where we're going to be coming in on this show, is talking with you about preparation. And the first thing you need to do is, if you happen to be an HR, you're a corporate recruiter, and you're utilizing different hiring people's time, you need to prepare them for what they're going to be doing. Now, one thing I learned a long time ago is most hiring managers would appreciate it if the hiring fairy came down and just brought someone in to fill that job. And the classic scenario is, once they know that the interview is in place, they look around to figure out who can take over for them. So they arrive at the interview ill-prepared to evaluate and assess people for their staff. So you want to encourage them to get prepared for what they're going to do to evaluate people, the questions that they're going to ask. They want to get their staff involved with what they're going to want these people to evaluate for and how they're going to go about doing it. And they want to have measurable characteristics or measurable outcomes that are going to allow them to get a yay or nay. Because at the end of the day, if they don't, bias has the potential to set itself in. And what often happens is people know within the first 45 seconds whether or not they want to hire someone, and they don't pay attention to the answers to these questions. So you need to confront the biases up front. If the person you're interviewing a fast talker or a slow talker, and the hiring manager is uncomfortable with that, why? What is it about that quality that is going to make them less competent to perform the job? Well, they're not going to fit in as well. Well, they can fit in as well. Not everyone is going to be homogeneous. It's like saying we only hire white people. I'm sorry, folks. We don't do that in this country anymore. And we don't have to have complete homogeneity in groups in terms of personality. If anything, as a hiring manager, you should be looking for people who are different than you, who think differently than you, who can, shall we say, be the rebel in your group, the different individual, and stoke the fires more. So again, get involved with your hiring managers and provoke them, encourage them, challenge them, so that they're well prepared and they get their team well prepared to interview. The next thing is having them define the job. So, creating a quality job description, and I'm not talking about pulling one out of their system from 4 years ago that they're going to continue to use as part of their evaluation process. I'm talking about if you use that as the template, as the starting place, to actually pay attention to what should be changed in that job description in order to make it a more accurate representation of what the firm is looking for. Now, with phone screens, like an in-person interview, you want to be prepared for the phone screen. So if you're in HR or if you're the hiring manager, you want to be prepared. You want to give yourself at least a couple of minutes to ground yourself, to focus on what's going to be covered in the actual interview. So often there are hiring managers who are taking time to, shall we say, they're playing catch up. They're unprepared. They're on the phone and they're winging it. And much the same way as a candidate shouldn't wing it, well, frankly, hiring managers shouldn't either. So give yourself a little bit of time to create a quality interview and to ground yourself for it. Next thing is create a structured interview for yourself and for your team. So I alluded to this before. You want to be able to create measures for what it is someone's going to be looking for out of you. I'm sorry, let me restate that. You want to be creating measures for what's going to demonstrate someone's qualified. So yes, there are skills competency questions. There are behavioral interview questions. But I also encourage a whole bunch of stress scenarios, particularly if your job has stress. You want to create tests that challenge the job hunter. Now, if yours is not a stressful environment, well, you don't have to really worry about this. At the end of the day, what you'll need to do is really just make sure that the interviews allow the job hunter to demonstrate their capabilities. I got a message from a friend of mine who was doing an interview over Skype recently. First round HR interview. So he can watch the interviewer not looking at him, reading questions, and he says, I have the experience. And the person's writing down answers and they're not listening to what I'm saying to know that I'm really addressing it. And at the end of the interview, of course, within 2 minutes, he gets a rejection because she wasn't paying attention. So I'll just simply say that you want to be able to get the interviewer's attention. You want to be in a situation where at the end of the conversation, you've allowed the person to demonstrate their best as it might fit the role. One of the easiest ways to do that is remind them of the job that you're interviewing them for. Just simply start off by saying, before we start getting into questions, I just want to talk with you about what the position is going to be about. Because isn't it a lot better to define it and have them say, I'm not going to be really interested in that. And then you're done. You're completely done at that point. And you can go on to someone else or something else. Better to do that, define it for them at the beginning, and then have them self-deselect themselves. And then knowing what they now know, they can interview in a focused way for the job. After all, often job descriptions and what someone's really looking for are radically different. So again, you want to be able to make sure that they're prepared. Now, skills competency has to be the A criteria for how you measure people. Likability, which is often encouraged, I want you to devalue dramatically unless the person's in a sales role. Now, in sales, likability can sometimes outweigh skills competence. But in technical disciplines, in areas where objective knowledge is important, likability may be a less important quality and a tiebreaker rather than a predominant selection criteria. So when all is said and done, make sure your questioning allows someone to demonstrate their skills competence. Do reference checks. Do your own checks. Somewhere, if you're in the point of evaluating someone for your firm, I want you to be able to say, So what's the process going to be like, they may ask. Well, assuming things, at the end of the day, I recommend you, we'll have, and you'll tell them the number of more interviews, the level of the person they'll be meeting with, and we'll be doing references where I want to talk to 3 managers that you've reported to. That's, of course, for someone at a more advanced level of experience. I'll walk the 2 managers and someone you interacted with in your job to get a sense of what their take was on you. So often that allows people who are mediocre to turn around and say, well, firm has a policy against saying anything. Well, I'm not calling them necessarily in the office. I do want to try speaking with them. Just give me names and phone numbers. Let's see what they say. Often what you'll do is discover it wasn't a policy. What they were doing is trying to hide you from bad or mediocre references. So make the point of letting them know, and they may back out at that time because they know that they're not going to get a good reference. I also have to tell you that many of you are taking way too long to evaluate people when you're hiring. Don't do that. There's a competitive job market out there. You don't want to be in a situation where you're losing people because you just haven't attended to them well. Again, give them a sense of timeline, ask them what's going on for them. You may discover they're in a final interview at a firm that they're really turned on to, and you stand no chance of getting them. That manages your expectation, your team's expectations. I'll tell you what I do. I was talking to a guy yesterday for a VP finance role, and I asked him where he was on interviews and what was going on for him, and what he told me was, he had a final, and he said when I called, I was hoping that it was the offer. I said, how about we wait 2 days and see if you get the offer, because if you get it, it sounds like this is one that you'd say yes to, and my client is going to take their time. So let's check in with one another today. So I'm going to call him after this show just to see if he got his offer. And if he did, I wish him well. He becomes a client of mine. And if he hasn't, then we can try going forward. Also, after they've joined or made the commitment to join, make sure your onboarding process gives them a good quality degree of attention. Make sure that you're in touch with them every 2, maybe 3 days at the very most, so that they feel that you're not out of sight and there isn't someone else trying to, shall we say, attract them, make them fall in love with their offer. I can't tell you how often it happens that people wind up not joining firms because no one's given them attention, and there's another recruiter or another firm selling them hard during that intervening period. So those are some of my ideas for what you can do to attract new people to your firm and be ready to bring them on. So I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and I'd love to help you with staffing. If you're trying to hire people anywhere in the U.S., reach out to me. You can call me at 646-374-8656 or send me an email at jeffaltman@thebiggamehunter.us. Let's set up a time to speak. I'd love to help you and your firm staff positions. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, send me a connection request at linkedin.com/IN/The Big Game Hunter. I accept connection requests from people worldwide, except if you're a scammer, except if you're a third-party recruiter, except if there's something in your profile that gives me cause to pause. Finally, if you'd like some advice from me, perhaps you could reach out to me through prestoexperts.com. So that's PRESTO experts.com, where I'm a job search, career coach, and hiring expert. I'd love to help you. I'd love to answer your questions, whether you're a corporate recruiter or a third-party recruiter. So I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Hope you have a great day.